I have to apologize, I didn't do the writing prompt. We give a writing prompt each week to help encourage people to write. Chelsea gave the writing prompt last week, which was a great one about writing a piece of 3-minute fiction, which I totally failed to do because it was a busy week, which is a bad excuse. But I have 2 poems for you, one of which was written off a prompt last year and has since been revised. And that'll be the second one that I do. The first one is called Of Armor. Chris asked me to read his letter. The one in his scratchy 9-year-old handwriting. The one where he was supposed to apologize to the 6-year-old girl he sexually victimized. I'm sorry about what I did under the slide of the park, that I made you feel bad, that I made you take off your clothes and watch me touch myself. The tiny letters fill out of place with the subject matter, and I'm left with the same questions ringing in my head. How do you explain empathy? How do you explain and define empathy to a child whose mind can't keep up with the hormones the stranger down the street awoke in him too early when he invited him to play games in the basement? How can I expect a mind more suited to fantasies of armor-clad heroes fending off fire-breathing dragons as they clamber around the castle gates to understand the depth of damage some games have? He knows you don't hit because it hurts. Bruises rising in testament to the cause and effect of this scenario. But when I try and explain that sometimes the worst bruises don't show up on skin, he looks at me lost in the details of trying to grasp these less tangible parts of reality. It's the same confusion I see on his face when, after their weekly visit, his mother hesitates to hug him. How do you rebuild a reality that never had time to take shape? There are times when I want to hug Chris, tell him his life isn't ruined, that what was done to him doesn't have to shape his time in this world any more than it already has. But his eyes struggle to see beyond this evening, and how he doesn't get to sleep at home because the man in the black robe felt Chris was too dangerous to be around his siblings. But then I remember spinning my niece in circles on my front lawn, and I can't look at Chris. And this is my flaw, not his. But I can't stop my head from filling with the sound of knuckles breaking on the hands of anyone that would ever think of touching her. Every night after work, I kneel, pleading to whatever God may be looking down on us to send legions of angels with flaming swords to protect her and my nephews, at least until they're old enough to protect themselves. Send them an armor-clad hero, because I can't help but see dragons all around, and the gates of protection these arms would make are only good during the times when I'm there. And the tough part is that the judge was probably right. It isn't safe for Chris to be around his siblings. It shows in the way his face loses its expression in a sick separation of himself from reality when he catches a glimpse out the window of school children walking home. This separation helped him survive that basement, but it's also the force behind the knife that cut into the virtue of his victim, hormones, and hands that were never entirely his. And tomorrow, when I go back to work, Chris is going to smile and ask if we can play baseball for free time. So somewhere between strikeouts and pop flies, I'll say a prayer for Chris. Because for him, there was no hero. So now he's got to build his own armor, hammer and anvil, forge and flame, sealing the dragons that have burrowed inside him away. And when he hands me another draft of another letter, I'll reach out with hope to see some growth and understanding, to see that he's keeping the links and the armor he's building tight, to see that his mind is growing to match the feelings he is going to have to grapple with for the rest of his life, to see that he's preparing himself to return to his family and the world and be the hero they'll need him to be. So the second one is the one that was about the prompt from last year. It's since been revised. It's called We're All Just a Bundle of Limbs. There's a man at a 4th of July barbecue smiling at the man his ex-wife wishes was the father of their son. He's fighting the urge to spontaneously combust for fear the flash would burn strange outlines in his son's mind. And I'm right there with him, part of the scorched silhouette marching band, screaming jazz inside while stumbling to play something more proper so the ones we love can keep on dancing. Today, a girl walked across campus, backpack pinching her skirt up, showing the smiling students a blinding white side of her she never intended them to see. Yeah, I've also been awkward like that, when I was too naive to hide soft parts of myself until I could feel the warmth coming off the eyes of others. Now I've got to live with these tan lines streaked across my nerves and the echoes of stares I swear I can still feel them draw. I'm awkward like summer blushing at spring for all it's brought to offer, stretching arms like days, trying to take in the possibility you all contain, regretting that eventually everything will fall. Maybe it's optimism, or hope, or the fact that these ideas are so damned abstract that leaves us hanging on to lingering bits of conversation, questioning, second-guessing everything we've ever said, thinking that surely we could have handled things better. Because if we could, then next time we can. Maybe next time I can stretch the span of my arms till I split at the chest, till my spine compresses in on itself, till I can hold on to a little bit more of the possibility all of you offer. Maybe next time I can finally get my feet to work, heel to toe, and fall in place with all the sure-footed.